Hello traders out there in Traderland, D7 here with Grok Trade. Markets have been on fire, doing really well. Let's see what happens next. Welcome here at Tampa, Florida. And first thing we're going to look at is the monthly charts. The monthly charts, we're looking and starting off with the financials, XLF ETF. So the month isn't over yet, but this is what the monthly looks like. We have one more week to finish out the month, but the reason I start off with the financials is because the markets are only as strong as the financials there to support the markets. So what we are looking for is the financials to break over that trend line. We have this trend line coming down. We're right at it. We have 1 week left. Can the financials break above that line? Will it close above? If so, it will break a symmetrical triangle to the upside within the apex, and that apex we could get a nice rally to the upside if that were to happen. All eyes are on this. I also want to look at the Russell's 2000 ETF. Last month we broke over that trend line. If you look here at a line chart, you can see the trend line coming down, and we did break over the top of that. And then July, this month, we have made a higher high, higher low, and above these moving averages. So all looks well. I'd like to see the MACD stay above that zero line coming across. We have two green histogram bars stepping higher. That is good, and we're down in the lower part of the relative strength, so we have a lot of potential upside on the monthly chart. So those two things I'm very much looking at. Now, if I jump over to the NASDAQ has been running for several months in a row and starting to pause here. So the NASDAQ, tech heavy, 65% of all the stocks inside the NASDAQ are tech weighted. So with that said, techs have been on fire, in large part due to artificial intelligence and the need for semiconductors. So we've had this extraordinary run to the upside. These numbers that you see over here are the Fibonacci levels. And these are the percentages. We have this big drop down and then this rally back. We have gone up around 76% of this drop. So whatever this drop was, we're up. We've made back about 76% of that. That's where we're at. Spiders, very much similar. Drop, rally, we're at the 76 Fibonacci area. We have 1 week left. Now, well, I'm using TradingView. There's a link down below if you guys that you can use it free of charge. That's what we use. I'm going to go down one level to the weekly charts to say, okay, what does the lower time frame show us? Starting with the spiders. Symmetrical triangle. We had a breakout of the symmetrical triangle March 27th, the week of March 27th, 23. And then we have steadily stayed above all these moving averages. And you can see we're just marching higher, 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 higher relative strength. We are overbought at this level and pretty high here on the MACD. Also, if you look at the NASDAQ, same, we're up for the week. We have a shooting star reversal pattern, but still very much above the moving averages, very strong. We had the breakout here March 13th, so we broke out before the S&P broke out. When that broke out, it rallied higher, did a high base on the weekly chart, rallied higher, and now showing we're overbought in this arena, and the MACD is relatively high. This would be a good spot to see maybe a slight little pullback taking place to let this thing have a breather and let it reload for another rally to the upside. The Russell's 2000. This was a big week. The reason I say that, if you go to a line chart, we have resistance here, resistance here. If I go to a bar chart, resistance here, we get right there at resistance and resistance. We stopped at resistance last week on the weekly chart on the Russell's 2000. This week, boom, we broke it to the upside. Higher high, higher low, breaking a trend line. That is very good. And we are not yet in the overbought area, so we have room to go. We are kind of high here on the MACD, but everything is looking very bullish here on the weekly. But the financials are what we're really keying on here. What are the financials showing us? Same thing. So financials, we had this resistance. We broke resistance, boom, to the upside, breaking that. And on the weekly chart, saying that the markets are only as strong as the financials there to support the markets. And that's what we are seeing right here. Nice symmetrical triangle, nice pop to the upside. And we're heading into go-go land. I mean, man, this thing could take off. Okay, now, wait, I just showed you the monthlies. I just showed you the weeklies, okay? I'm going to dive into the dailies to say what can we expect going into the very near future. Again, trading view, go down here to the daily charts, and we're going to start off on the spider. And if you look at the spider daily chart, a couple things that jump out at me, we're in a rising wedge. Rising wedge, you can go to freeonlinetradingeducation.com, freeonlinetradingeducation.com. Go to chart school, look at rising wedge and see how they usually play out. So this is a rising wedge, more bearish than is bullish, and we have a bearish divergence on the MACD. We have a lower swing high here, higher swing high here. There's your bearish divergence. We were overbought and starting to pull back here. Will this break down soon? Maybe. Or is this going to keep running right up above this area? If we stay above this trend line and those moving averages, all is well with this thing. But until that happens, all is well. If we start to break down, look for the weeklies to give up some. Look for the dailies to obviously pull those weekly bars down. The NASDAQ, we had this big rising wedge, and we are right at major support. Arguably, we cracked that support. Let's take a look here. I want to make sure my lines are spot on. I mean, right there at it, and it looks like we just poked down below it. So because we poked down below that, this could be dangerous. So in other words, on the daily chart, this could easily get down to this area, which was resistance, that now could be support and then rally back up. But I needed to get back above that trend line if it's going to stay solid, meaning moving up in this direction. We might change the trajectory to very, very bullish to just bullish, where it's less of a trajectory and we build these new trend lines going up this direction. So MACD has crossed down, going down. We're still above the zero line. That is good. And MACD, or the RSI, is down in an area that it could turn up at any time and start heading back north. So we're watching that one. Russell's 2000 daily chart. If you look at this, we had this just great run to the upside. But now, with the last couple days, lower highs, lower lows, starting to pull back. But we haven't given up a lot of ground. We still remain above the moving averages. You can see my moving averages right here. But we remain above them. So it's still relatively strong. We have the bearish divergence. You can see that there. So we're softening up a little bit on the daily charts. So, okay, how about the financials? What's that doing? Well, the financials on Thursday broke a big trend line. Look at this. I mean, if I pull in a lot of data here, I'll let you guys see this. Resistance, resistance, resistance. We're over resistance right now. So this is fantastic what we're seeing here. This is very, very, very. Muy bien, for those that speak español. Yo estoy aprendiendo español. That is good, guys. We got to stay. So the financials XLF on the daily chart needs to stay above this trend line. Build me a high base and then give me something to launch from. MACD is pretty extended to the high side here. We did cross over, and it looks like we got a little negative, red tick here. So crossing over, heading down, but I just don't want to see it come back inside this. I don't want this to be a death hook where we get a bleed out in the markets. And US, remember I was on the last video, talked about the death hook, and I showed that to you. Go and watch the last video to see about the death hook. But remember how I said drops, look for this to rally back to these trend lines and then drop again. We're rallying up to these trend lines. So the US dollar, let me put this into perspective for everybody. US dollar has been very, very strong for the past week or so. That usually plays havoc on commodities, precious metals, the stocks in general. But the markets kept going higher even with the rebound of the US dollar. So what I'm seeing here is if you look at the MACD, it goes up, up, up. We're at the 0 line and the histograms are flattening out. We could roll over here. If we roll over below the 0 line, if we roll over below the 0 line like we did here, we came up to the 0 line, we rolled over and dropped, you can get this big multi-day drop here. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that come up, hit our head, and then drop right there. So that's something that we are looking at. Daily on the gold is up, up, up. Seems to be just fine at this moment. Silver, up, up, up. A nice little bull pullback above moving averages. Nice little setup that we could be getting here. Look for bull pullbacks on freeonlineTradingEducation.com. Go to the chart school, bull pullbacks. That will teach you some things. So that wraps up our video. It doesn't cost you anything to give me a thumbs up. It doesn't cost you anything just to hit a like button. Please give me a like. Let me know that you're here and you watched. I want to share something with you guys. This is a monologue. If you guys just wanted stock trading stuff, you can get out. And I'll say this. VIX is at extreme lows right now. There's zero fear in the markets. No fear at the markets. That's why unless fear spikes higher, VIX, unless the VIX spikes higher, I don't see a significant drop happening, a quick drop happening. Anything can happen in the markets, and it usually does. I'm saying that anytime the markets are there's fears low, the markets tend to stay buoyant, but they still give you these drops and ups and drops and ups, but it tends to keep trending upward in this type of environment. So something to be watching, is the VIX. But overall, monthlies on the important charts look really good. Weeklies look really good, kind of extended. Dailies pretty extended, looking strong, but looking like they need to pull back a little bit here. Wouldn't surprise me if next week, we start off, pulling back a little bit just to give this market a breather. What I'm really looking forward is the monthly chart on XLF, which is the financials. And next week, can we close higher? Can we have a bullish week this next week to close higher than that trend line? That would be, we'd be in. That'd be very good. I want to share something with you on a personal note. Last year, June 7th, on my birthday, and this year, last month, June 7th, I turned the big 50. I'm on the 5th level now. That was my birthday. But a year prior to that, I gave blood. When I gave blood, I got up sooner than I should have. I should have, ate a couple cookies. But the office where I'm at right now, I'm on the 19th floor, jumped in the elevator soon after giving blood, and the elevator shot me straight up. Blood dropped out of my head. I fall in the elevator, snapping my neck back, and had all sorts of issues. I mean, when I say all sorts of issues, just the tingling and numbness and just things I've not felt before. So got an x-ray, CAT scan, MRI, and said, yeah, you got, now bulging and cervical stenosis and all sorts of fun stuff. And for the last year, I have not been participating in any sort of sports. I play high-level racquetball. I play competition racquetball. In the state where I'm originally from, Indiana, I won my state twice, one in singles, one in doubles for my division. And I love to play that sport. And I have not played in a year. I played one time after my accident just to see, but then I was concerned about, my neck, right? I was concerned about that being an issue. Well, make a long story longer, I quit playing completely. I quit working out, quit hitting the gym, I was at we were celebrating with some friends their wedding anniversary, and we had a little getaway. And at the getaway, there was a little water park, and they had kids and stuff. And I wouldn't even go on the water slide because of the fear that was instilled in me by doctors and nurses and everybody else on the cervical side. Well, I had neurologists, a remote neurologist, neurosurgeon, look through all my MRIs and stuff. And when they did that, they weren't giving me what I can and can't do type stuff. Well, this week I went to a neurologist. This neurologist out of Tampa here, we were in St. Pete actually, in St. Pete office, looked through all of my records. This is the first time I sat down with a neurosurgeon and really go through everything. And as we did, he wanted to see other x-rays. So he brought me back in, had me all doing all these different angles with my neck and doing all these x-rays. Really went through everything. Came back, sat down with me, and showed me everything. And said, basically, so he told me a lot of stuff. And I said, so you're telling me I dodged a bullet? And he goes, that's what I'm telling you. You dodged a bullet. And he goes, you can live life? And I said, my wife was going to get me skydiving lessons, or not lessons, skydiving thing for my 50th birthday. And she had talked to an NP, a nurse practitioner who works in the cervix side of things, and cervical side, and said that if he's got cervical stenosis, he should not be doing skydiving or any activity. But she had not looked at any of my records, didn't know anything, going at it blind, being very conservative. So I didn't get to do any of that stuff. So when I was talking to the doctor, I said, so you're telling me I could have gone skydiving? He goes, oh yeah. He goes, Des, you should not change your lifestyle at all. There's nothing here saying that your lifestyle should change. And I said, you're telling me I can play racquetball again? And he goes, absolutely, you should be playing racquetball. And guys, I can't believe the emotions I felt at that time. I actually started crying in the doctor's office. And I said, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional right now. He goes, oh, it's okay. And the lady taking the notes, she was smiling. And but until you lose something, your ability to do something, and then you win it back, you don't know how good life is. Life is really good. Life is really good. And I think we just need to recognize it. Because it was an eye-opener for me. When he gave me my physical life back by giving me the okay that there's nothing stopping me to be able to train again in the gym, to play racquetball again, for my health and cardiovascular, and also for the friends and camaraderie and, just all the above. It was a relative awakening. I don't know if that's the perfect wording for that, but all I can say is it's opened my eyes to be that's my phone. My phone's blowing up with text. It has waken me up. It's woken me up. My wife is grammar Nazi. She would be correcting me right there. But I have woken up. There it is. To the fact that I need to be more appreciative for the health that we have, the provisions that we have, for the friends that we have, the spouse that we have, or loved ones around us, our family. And I don't know why I'm getting so deep on this monologue. But sometimes I feel like with you guys that you're an extension of my own family. And some of you guys have been following me 5 years, some of you 10, some of you 15 plus. This month I've been in business 18 years with Scott, with Grok Trade, and been trading in the live markets. I mean, knocking at the door of 30 years at some point. When it comes, right around 25 years. What is it? Man, I got to count that since 98. What is 98 to 2003? So 25 years trading, using technical analysis in the markets, and it's just amazing. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. If you made it to the end, and if you had, if you have a similar story, man, leave it in the comments. Let's engage in a communication here, a dialogue. I shared my side. Hope to hear from you. Take care, guys. We'll see you. Bye. Guys, why are you still here? You're supposed to be gone while I still have you. If you haven't joined the 301 mentorship yet, seriously give that some serious thought. Mark the Meerkat's been trading a long time in the markets. As you know, I have too. We take people under our wing and we teach you what we do to trade in the live markets. We trade a significant amount of money on a day-to-day basis in the live markets ourselves. If you're going to learn from anybody, learn from us. It's the 301 mentorship program. We've been doing this a long time, and we're happy to help you. There you have it. Now, get out of here.